Hey, folks who dance on poles, ever thought about competing but worried about judgmental pole hobbyists? Want to enter a pole competition where it's actually run by strippers? Then you'll want to consider entering Script Down, Canada's first pole competition spearheaded by sex workers. The competition is on Friday, November 3rd at the Opera House in Toronto, and we are bringing in an internationally renowned pole artist like Jordan Kensley, Kiana Walker, Tia Jax, and Tara Meyer just to run workshops and also to judge the competition. Registration for the competition ends on July 31st, and yours truly will also be judging, so get your audition videos in and we'll see you there. And welcome back to another episode of Stripped by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, aka Kimchi on stage. You cannot find me on stage anywhere. I am not being booked right now because technically when this episode is released, I will be on a mini honeymoon, and I'm really hoping at that point that I will not be bringing my laptop so people just will be able to reach me because I just need a freaking break. After all this wedding madness, which is really exciting, but also this show is also very important to me too, so I really am trying to set a nice runway of episodes you all can enjoy while I'm also enjoying away in the mountains, away from people. So that's just a bit about me. I am a dancer, yes. I am also online as well, the digital content creator. I do run an OnlyFans, make lots of custom videos, and people can talk and text with me, do all that fun stuff. And I was also a sugar baby for many, many years, and that was kind of my start in the industry. And most recently and more regularly, you can also find me online streaming on Streamate as well under the name Sia on Camera. That is me. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now, dipping my toes in all different facets of the industry as most of us do. And if it is your first time joining here, Stripped by Sia is all about destigmatizing sex work, and I do that by bringing different guests onto the show every single week to really go in depth about different corners of the industry because it is just so vast, and I will never run out of topics, which is amazing. So bringing on different models or cam girls or talking about people that are behind the scenes. I also like to bring different nonprofit organizations onto the show that really help benefit sex workers. I've brought my old professors onto the show as well that are in criminology that also speak to the legalities and the policies that are around sex work. So really just trying to provide a broad spectrum and for you as listeners to be as informed and educated as possible, because there are a lot of you folks, yes, that are sex workers, which is great. Love the community. But I know there's a lot of you folks out there as well that are listening that this place and this industry is just so far away from your regular world, and that's cool. And I think you are great for listening to the show to educate yourself further. So kudos to you. We need more folks like you out in the universe. I have been doing the show for almost 4 years now, which is really exciting. I've been doing this every single week, and I do this for free because I really want people to be able to access information freely, especially when you're just beginning to get into the industry, because flashback when it was 10 years ago when I was a sugar baby, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know how to set rates and anything like that. Didn't have any boundaries, didn't set any safety precautions. And I just don't want people to make the same mistakes that I did when I first entered, because that was a scary place to be and very isolating time of my life. So yeah, but I have been doing this for free. I think it's really important to do that. I don't like to gatekeep any kind of information. But with that being said, a lot of you have been like, how do I support the show financially? Can I donate to you? Do you have a PayPal or anything like that? PayPal can be problematic, FYI. So I do have a Patreon. If you are interested, we have tiers starting at $4 a month, which is a low price of a coffee, depending on where you get your coffee from. That there are different tiers you can check out there. All the video exclusive content is on there. Raw, unedited footage, bonus episodes that you cannot find publicly anywhere anymore. That is all there. And of course, if you are in the top tiers of the show subscription bundle or whatever we call it, top tier. Why can't I just speak normally? Anyways, you get a fan recognition shout out. So I just wanted to say hello to some folks. Snoo from Germany. We got Arup Sarkar from British Columbia. Same as Jay Sunster, and also a local here. Justin Erickson from Vancouver, Washington. We've got Ted McGuire, we've got Geyser, and we've got Selena Money, all contributing to the show on the top tier. So thank you all for your continued support. Super means a lot to me, and also basically helps fund the website costs, and now my Riverside costs too, because now I have just switched over to Riverside, and there is a cost to that because the free tiers don't allow for a lot of recording anymore. So FYI. And I'm also on a network, skyhawkafterdarktv.com. It is an adult industry podcast and videocast network there. So if you're enjoying content like this, be sure to check out some of their other shows that are on there too. So it's skyhawkafterdarktv.com. And last but not least, again, I was talking briefly about the website you might be funding if you are helping support on Patreon. Fox Digital has created my website, which is really great because I am very clueless when it comes to website things. I am very basic and I need a template. So I got Anthony, my friend from Fox Digital, to help make my website for me. And he's giving an exclusive offer for all Stripped by Sia listeners. You can get 20% off if you want to get your website built, if you want to get your website remade, if you just want a website for shits and giggles. Everyone should have a website, in my opinion, if you're in the ability to have one. Go check them out. It's foxdigital.design. Tell them I sent you and get 20% off. Just over the 5-minute mark. Okay, here we go. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just tuning in now, you skipped the beginning, I'm not offended. It's totally fine. You're here for the good stuff. You're here because I am bringing a certain someone onto the show. And if you've already clicked on the link to press play on this episode, you'll already know who I'm bringing on. But if you're just listening blindly, I am so excited to finally introduce the guest for today. I am bringing on the lovely Sydney Screams onto the show today. And if you are not familiar with Sydney or Sydney's wonderful work, Sydney is a digital content creator as well. She's a fetish performer, a smoking hot BBW, multiple award-winning nominations as well, and also a person that is very knowledgeable about sex toys, which is one of the topics we'll be talking about today, along with the topic of body, the topic of being a plus-size performer. We just haven't had that conversation in about 2 seasons, embarrassingly enough. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for Sydney to come on and speak to her personal lived experiences. And I'm so excited to finally have you on so I can stop talking as well. But Sydney, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, hello. Thank you for the warm welcome.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being so patient, listening to me ramble on for 6 minutes.
That's okay.
I'm so excited to have you here today. I hope I did okay on your introduction. I feel you can do a much better, accurate job, but you're giving me a nod. So maybe you can tell the audience who you are in your own words and terms.
So I'm Sydney Screams. I'm a plus-size BBW performer based out of Las Vegas. I've been in the industry since I was 19, and I'm 35 now, so it's been a minute. I am primarily known for my fetish content, which I've been doing my entire career. However, I also do a lot of hardcore content, both independent, and I've done some mainstream-ish hardcore content as well over the past several years. I've been on Hustler, on Pornhub, well, obviously Pornhub, Hustler, Plumber Pass, Jeff's Models, Rodney Moore. Gosh, I feel like I've been on so many different platforms and made content with so many different people. It's hard to list it all.
Very exciting, though. And yes, your tenure in the industry is long, which is amazing. The last episode we just had, we were talking about longevity in the industry, too, and like your keys to success and whatnot, too, which I'm sure we're actually going to probably chronologically go into as well during today's episode. But maybe we can start at the very beginning. in terms of like how you got started in the industry.
Yeah. So when I was 19, I did a lot of photography. I loved getting to photograph people, especially women. And I had a bunch of colleagues that were also photographers or models who were like, Sydney, you should get in front of the camera. You're attractive, you're young, like, what's holding you back? And like, the first few times I was like, no, nobody wants to see me on camera. And then finally people just hyped me enough that I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do this.
Yay.
And I did it and I loved it. And I started doing pinup photography, or I was a pinup model, I guess you could say, before I started doing any sort of fetish or explicit content. And it was so much fun. I just really loved being able to be in front of the camera. It was another way for me to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I still to this day, however many years later, love doing photo shoots. That's something that's kind of never left me. And so, yeah, I started doing photo shoots. Then I was on Model Mayhem, which is somehow still around.
Yeah, around? Holy shit, that's like really
It's still around.
Wow.
I don't know how, but it is. And someone asked me if I would do a foot fetish shoot, and I was like, okay, the pay is really good. I'm a broke college student. Like, yeah, I could use the extra money.
Yes.
And I spent, I think, 3 hours in this guy's hotel room, trampling on him, using him as a trampoline, having him worship my feet. And I was just like, I can't believe I'm making money to do all this. This is incredible.
Yeah.
And I had so much fun that I just kept doing it over and over and over again. And I started traveling a lot, mainly to either northern Florida, because at the time I was based in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
northern Florida, Tampa, Miami, Philly was a big place for me to go. But honestly, I'd find reasons, producers all over the country, and I'd just fly out and do a bunch of fetish work. And then I started doing porn, like hardcore porn, I guess about 5 or 6 years into my career. And that took me to a whole nother level. And it's just been me kind of pushing myself along year after year after year. And honestly, it's 2023 and I'm like, this is the year of Sydney. I've got so many things going on. How did I get to this point? This is great. What do I do?
That's really exciting. And it just sounds like, yeah, your career has really evolved over time and just is sounding like it's continuing to just go upwards, which is awesome. So exciting. And huge congratulations to you and all of your success. Amazing.
Thank you.
So I guess, would you say that your entry into the fetish land would be through that one shoot that you had with the foot fetish dude, or like?
There were a couple different, honestly, they were all foot fetish dudes at first, but there were a few different foot fetish dudes at first who just, I guess I have really great feet and they just all wanted me on their websites. And I was like, all right, here are my feet. I don't know what to do with them.
That's awesome. But fetish people are the best. And this is a sidebar, but the person I just married, I mean, will be marrying at the time of recording, is one of my foot fetish clients, basically. But the foot fetish.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I just find like the foot fetish people are the best. And even like all of my other clients that are online and stuff too, they've just been so like patient, respectful, non-demanding, like just the best kind of clients, in my opinion. So much praise, so much love for foot fetish people.
I still love my foot boys more than anything. Like, my foot boys, they're out here buying me shoes, buying me socks, buying my worn shoes and socks, buying me pedicures, all of that. And I love that. I absolutely love all of my foot dudes. And they've probably seen me tweeting, like, I love nothing more than having my foot in someone's mouth while I'm getting fucked. So
yes.
Like, fetishists hold a very special place in my heart.
I love it. I mean, after there were all these foot dudes and all that stuff, how did you bridge the gap in going into more hardcore things and like other fetishes and kinks?
So when I first started, I quickly found a few other models in Orlando who were also doing similar things. And one of them, Whitney Morgan, her and I just really bonded super well, and we started just kind of testing the waters. What can we make money doing?
Mm-hmm.
And so we would film doing the most random shit, brushing our teeth, shaving our legs, shaving our armpits, painting our toenails, putting on makeup, taking off makeup, like anything we could think of, we would film. And it started to like show us different trends of different ways we could make money. And years later, like Whitney and I are still really good friends, and we still both make a wide variety of fetish content, but it's definitely evolved. Like I used to make a ton of videos where it was just silly faces. I have really good facial expressions apparently, and I have customers who would order silly face customs every single week for like years.
Love that.
And I don't make as many anymore, but I still try to kind of give some throwbacks to the things that I started with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my content has evolved so much since then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, it's wild.
But that's a really good strategy though for starting out, in terms of like, okay, if I make some kind of custom video or make something here, let's see who's gonna bite and see if there's any traction there too. From there, did it emerge like certain trends and certain videos that would sell more than others, and that just started to be more apparent to you? And then is that kind of the pathway you started to go down towards more specifically?
So I definitely started to notice trends. It took me a while because at the beginning I wasn't very analytics focused. I was just having fun, making some extra money every month with my girlfriends. You know, it wasn't a business for me.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started to really learn about analytics outside of sex work, and B, kind of realize that if I put a business mindset onto what I'm doing, maybe I'll make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Once I started to really realize those things, learn about analytics, learn about everything that goes into planning a proper content schedule, I really started to notice I have core categories, and those categories have changed a little bit over the years. But it's kind of funny to me because one of my original fetishes that I've catered to basically since day one has been lipstick fetish.
Oh,
And yeah, lipstick fetish is probably my longest running top selling category.
really?
It's in my top 10. Yeah.
Amazing.
Consistently for years now. And so there's fun ways that my brand has evolved, but to also have these like little core categories that have stuck with me the whole time, I love that, because to me, like, those fans have probably been around since day one. They still love my content, and that speaks a lot to, I think, how much they like me as a performer, and
Totally.
how they know they can come to me to get exactly what they want. And I love being able to give people the type of content that they're looking for. So
I love that. That's so cool too. And it's really cool. Again, once you start treating it like a business, then you can kind of see, okay, like what's selling, what's not as popular, and kind of really lean into that. Because I think that's really, really smart. Because then you're trying to then you can kind of see what your fans are really, really enjoying, and like the more that you kind of cater to that, the more they're going to enjoy you as well. So it definitely goes hand in hand. What can I ask you? What the other categories were, or like what other core categories you had as well?
So when I was first starting, I don't really know what to categorize this as. I guess sort of crush would be a category.
Yeah.
But people really like to see me fill condoms with water, or balloons with water,
Okay.
and step on them.
Gosh.
And that was the whole thing. And like, I haven't made one of those in, I guess, about 4 years now. And like, they were just a really big category. You know,
Wow.
touched on foot fetish, it touched on crushing. Someone once told me that it's touched on like ball busting and like
Mm.
testicle stomping, which I think that does qualify.
That
Like
makes
people want to
sense.
imagine what it would be like.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a whole lot of different things. Now, some of my categories are BBW,
Right.
vore, which vore is
Mm-hmm.
super, super fun. I also do, what are my core four? My core four are BBW, BHM, which is Big Handsome Man,
Okay.
lipstick fetish, and vore are my top, like, core four categories, top money makers. Beyond that, I also do a lot of futanari, a lot of vampire, a little bit of bondage, a lot of inflation, body expansion. I love hypno and mesmerize type content.
Yeah.
Embarrassing female. Like I just think all of those are super fun, and I like to make content that's fun at the end of the day. Like if I can't have fun doing it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one too when it comes to like whenever I get custom requests. Like I need to make sure that like I'm one, either really gonna enjoy it or two, I'm really curious about it and seeing where that thing can go. Like I had a recent client that was referred to me, and he had a mouth fetish, almost like kind of like in between war and like giantess type content where he really wanted to see like my uvula in my mouth, like really opening my mouth wide so you can see inside. And it had to show the uvula and stuff too. And then like it went into like larger role plays of like, okay, imagine that, you know, we're sitting together and, you know, you're kind of like hinting that you know about my fetish. And then like how it like evolved into like, okay, now you want to eat me and like all the stuff. It was really, really cool.
I love that. I love all of the fun little fetishes and the way that people just kind of bring them together in ways that sometimes I never think of. Like to
Yes.
me, that made a lot of sense. Those fetishes are very closely related.
Yes.
But sometimes I get custom requests and I'm like, I never thought to put these two together.
Totally.
But now that I'm doing it, it makes sense.
Totally. And it's just really cool because like I got to give some props to all the fans out there too, because sometimes they don't get enough love. But just the imagination and curiosity that folks have, and then for them to bring it to creators like us and trusting us to make their fantasies or whatever thing that they have in mind come true is really an honor to do, and just so fun. It's just so much fun.
It's so flattering. I love that people come to me for their custom videos. Like, I feel so incredibly special whenever someone's like, I want you to make this custom video for
Yes.
me. Like, wow, me? Thank you.
All right. Very, very honored and very flattered indeed. I guess like at this point, Sydney, we can maybe kind of go into the BBW stuff since you mentioned it, since that's one of your top categories too. But like maybe to start off there, we can kind of go into the topic of language, because I always find that to be an interesting point, because some people use certain terms like plus size, some people use like BBW. Some people don't like some certain terms too, and everyone has their own kind of spin and take on it. So maybe we can start off there and that can kind of dictate the rest of this portion of the interview.
Yeah. So for me, I am unfazed by a lot of the terminology used for BBWs. I call myself a BBW. I call myself plus size. I call myself chubby. I call myself fat. I call myself curvy, curvaceous, whatever. I think that there's a lot of division about what constitutes a BBW, and for me, that's really where I get kind of like, do we need all this division?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people say things like, you're only a BBW if you have a belly. Well, guess what? Whether it's a big belly or not, everybody has a fucking belly.
Yeah.
It exists.
Yeah.
And like, you can look at someone and recognize that they are plus size, even if they have a flat stomach, because there are models out there, someone like Bad Kitty, throwing it back further, London Andrews. London Andrews has always had an incredibly flat stomach, but she's never been someone who would be considered a standard size body. She's always been a plus size person.
Right.
And like, she doesn't like to use the term BBW because it fetishizes.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I definitely understand not wanting to fetishize yourself. But in this industry, as someone who's here to make money, as someone who's here to, this is my only job, this is my living, this is my business, this is everything.
Yeah.
I have to cater to fetishes in a lot of regards, and fetishizing myself, at the end of the day, that's something that's pretty minor to me. It doesn't bother me to be called a BBW because that's the easiest way to like quantify what I am. And it's a search term.
Yeah.
All labels are search terms.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I understand some folks don't want to get fetishized, but I think in some ways you have to be comfortable fetishizing yourself to be successful in this industry.
Yeah, that's a really interesting conversation because, you know, as sex workers, we're objectified, we're fetishized in a way as well too, and I think it just depends on like where your own boundaries lie. Like for myself, I'm an Asian woman, but for like I don't like it when I get fetishized, and that's like a different layer as well, because that has its own nuances that comes along with a lot of stereotypes too, that can even tie along with racism as well too, and prejudice and discrimination that's underlying some of those. So that for me would be problematic, but like I never even thought about fetishizing BBWs or people in this situation too. So I'm really glad that you brought that point up, because I didn't even think about that at all.
There's also a good amount of study being done and written about how fat phobia and racism go very much hand in hand. Because if you look at the terms used for, I absolutely, it makes me kind of cringe to have this conversation, but if you look at a lot of the terms that are used by certain individuals to describe like immigrants or people of color, there's a lot of use of terms like lazy, slob,
right,
unkept, and like all of these different ways of people kind of trying to hide their racism, doing a really bad job at it.
Yeah.
But those terms are also used a lot for fat people as well. And not to say that the fat experience is the same as being a person of color, because it's not. I will never have the same experience that you will have. But we do experience things in similar-ish ways. Again, it's not same, it's not apples to apples. It's like apples to oranges.
Yes.
We're still fruit, but it's different. And I understand and I recognize, and more people should realize that as well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stereotypes for fat people too. Like, a lot of people play into feederism, and feederism is a big part of BBW fetish content. But it's not the only way to do it. And I personally am not a gainer. I'm not a feedie. It's not something that I enjoy, but I still, on some occasions, make the content in ways that make me feel good about me, because it is popular. And even though it's not like I'm not a gainer, there are ways that I can kind of play with that fetish that are still fun for me without making me kind of feel a little icky about myself.
Yeah, that's interesting too, and really a cool connection too. I'm curious to hear those studies. That sounds so interesting and fascinating. Didn't even think to link those two together. But going back to maybe like, because like I know I briefly talked this on the show many seasons ago. It feels like ages ago, but there are really a lot of categories that are under the umbrella term of, say, BBW / plus size as well. And also to not to get into that whole division conversation that we were having earlier too. But yes, I know that some people consider BBW if you're a certain size, if you have like a certain weight or body shape and whatnot. And then some people would not even categorize certain bodies under that too. Did you kind of want to go into different categories briefly? Just like kind of thinking of this like a BBW 101 kind of episode. It's been a while.
Yeah. So my body type, if you look at any of my content, I am what's considered a plumper. A plumper is kind of front heavy, big belly. You're just plump. You got the curves in all the good spots. But then you can look at, people are considering like the stacked MILF body type as a BBW as well. And that is more like big booty, thick thighs, flat tummy, big titties.
Oh.
You know, it's very, I guess, more like hourglass-ish body type.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, very big titties, little waist, big booty.
Right.
Some people consider that a BBW. Some people don't. I think if you feel like you're a BBW and you have that body type, you should own it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, call yourself that, you know.
Totally.
There's chubby, which is just someone who's got like a little tiny chubby belly. And, you know, I love a chubby belly. I think they're cute as fuck. You've also got supersized BBWs, which are the extra large individuals. I never like to use like a specific number on the scale or weight or anything like that or size, because to me that's very gatekeepy.
Yeah.
I'm 5'2". I have never weighed more than 235 pounds in my life. But I've been told that because I've never weighed more than 250 pounds, I'm not a real BBW.
Really?
And I think that those keeping like numbers or sizes, I think that's really something that just fucks with people a lot.
It does. Definitely.
But, you know, there are chubby BBWs, there are plumpers, there are supersize. We also have terms for BHM, which are big, handsome men. You've got your supersize there. You've got your chubby men. You've got, I actually can't think of more terms. There's
a lot. So a lot of ones I have never heard of it as well. So this is a great start. So. To go back to what we're talking about earlier as well, going into maybe some of the challenges that you've personally faced as a BBW, because, you know, a lot of quote unquote beauty standards that are in the mainstream, but also that are also apparent in the adult industry are really focused on like quote unquote what normal bodies would look like and whatnot. I would love to just hear like your own take on this.
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges as plus size individuals because a lot of companies want to pay us less money, or they want to just do sort of a test BBW thing where they are essentially offering exposure for shooting, which is kind of icky. And I understand that from a business perspective, they're like, I don't know if we want to invest money into this side of things yet. But at the same time, you get what you pay for. And I think that BBWs are very worthy of getting paid for our work.
Definitely.
If you look at this past AVN award show, the BBW fan category had over 60 nominees in it. And to me, that says there are over 60 of us who fans love, who fans go rabid for, who fans want to see on other sites. And I think that companies have this idea that, oh, if we shoot one BBW a year, that's enough to get some BBW fans. And that's not enough,
No.
because if you're coming from a fan standpoint and you're like, okay, am I going to subscribe to Jeff's Models, which is nothing but BBWs, or am I going to subscribe to Teen Skeet, which shoots about one BBW a year?
Right.
I'm going to put my money on the site that dedicates more time to BBWs.
Right.
And that's not to say that Team Skeet doesn't deserve the subscribers, but if they want to be appealing to BBW fans, one BBW scene a year isn't enough.
Yeah, it doesn't cut it.
And I'm not trying to throw Team Skeet under the bus. I just had a conversation with them, like a producer from there a couple weeks ago, where they're like, yeah, we shoot like one BBW a year. But BBW fans want to see BBWs represented equally. And so it's not that you have to shoot 4 BBWs a month to have 4 BBW scenes per month. But if you released 12 scenes a year, one a month with a BBW, you might be more likely to get more BBW fans, more paying subscribers,
right,
than if you're only doing one scene per year. Because if you're only doing one scene per year, it's going to be a failure. And then you're going to be like, I'm not going to spend my money doing this.
Right.
Well, you didn't really invest your money in a way that was actually meaningful and going to have a payoff.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that doesn't sound like an investment at all. Like, that just sounds like an excuse to be like, okay, we've covered that. We've got the one video out there. We've got the diversity check. Okay, cool. Next kind of thing. Kind of a cop out. Yeah. Oh man, that's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
It's a challenge, and unfortunately, BBWs are also the lowest paid members of our society or our industry in terms of our standard size bodied peers. I'm in a lot of groups with standard sized individuals who, when they are discussing rates and stuff, they'd be like, oh, I'd never take a boy girl scene for $700. But that's a standard pay for BBW boy girl scenes.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, we are unfortunately the lowest paid group of individuals in the industry. And in terms of like body size, race wise is a different thing, of course.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard like some of my Black peers are getting paid even less, and that's fucked.
Jesus. I had this whole side of the industry in terms of like unequal pay, but I'm not surprised at it though.
Yeah,
it's so frustrating.
It's unfortunate.
That's upsetting.
When fat folks want equal pay, we're told we don't sell as well. But then that kind of cycles into we don't sell as well because you don't make as much BBW content. Therefore, we're never going to sell as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's just like a never-ending cycle that is just going to keep repeating itself until that cycle breaks. So we need more folks out there like you and also more companies to really recognize that this is wrong. Is one of them. But also to find value in their BBW talent. So,
yeah. And there's also the issue where a lot of companies don't know how to shoot BBWs. They don't know what our fans like because they are not into it. And it's okay to not be into fat people. That's fine. But if you want to have a successful aspect of your business, focus on BBWs, you have to know how to shoot us. You have to shoot us regularly enough that people are enticed. And you have to dedicate time towards it. And a lot of companies, they're looking at the most marketable people, which I understand. You got to make your bottom dollar. I get it. But there are some incredible BBWs out there who I know are making bank for themselves and make bank for the companies that they work for that should be represented more regularly in these mainstream productions. And I don't just mean me because, yeah, that would be cool. I'd love to be in more mainstream productions. But it's also just more about having that representation because representation matters.
Oh, absolutely. It's especially like if you're a consumer or if you're somebody that's wanting to get into adult and you're not seeing anyone that looks like you, that can be really disheartening and discouraging to be like, oh, well, there's no one out there like me. Like, why should I even bother? Or is anyone even going to take me seriously? And those are all valid questions too. So yeah, I didn't expect to be talking about all this, which is great, which is awesome. You're teaching me so much. And again, more reasons why I shouldn't have skipped a season in terms of talking about this. So thank you for that, Sydney. Were there any other challenges that you wanted to mention as well? Like those are pretty big ones, really, really big ones. Or what about the successes as well?
I think that there are a lot of challenges that, are kind of universal.
Mm-hmm.
We're in competition with our standard size peers because we're not separated from them on sites, and that's a huge challenge.
Right.
But for me, one of the things that I have found most rewarding is knowing that I'm doing my absolute best, seeing myself make a living doing this, because I never thought, prior to the pandemic, I worked full-time and did sex work on top.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I'd be making the same amount of money from sex work as I do, or as I used to make from my vanilla career, which I was a very well-paid, high-level corporate person,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm making the same amount of money, and to me that says it's possible. It's possible for anyone in this industry, and if I can do it, I firmly believe anyone can, because there's just so much money to be made in this industry, and everyone brings something special and unique to the table.
Yes.
And that's just something that we each as individuals need to take time to celebrate, recognize, and monetize.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for yourself, like how have you found success in this industry, and how have you like carved your own space in this industry for you?
I honestly think that my fetish work has played a huge part in it, because I've never shied away from doing a lot of the niche fetishes that so many people stay away from.
Yeah.
But to me, being a plus size performer, making a space for myself in those areas has proven that there are fans of every body type doing every fetish.
Yes.
And I would just encourage anyone who's looking to get to where I am, don't shy away from things just because you think that there's not a market for your body type or your race or whatever in that area. There are fetishists of all shapes, sizes, genders, races, everything. And I think that tapping into those fetishes is definitely a huge part of my success.
Yeah, definitely. And I always find like there's always something out there for anyone, really. And I'm always continue to be impressed by all the different fetishes that are out there and that are emerging, and the ones that I've never heard of. And I thought I've heard everything, but I haven't, clearly. And there's always an opportunity to make money out there. So just keep that in mind.
There really are. So many people are missing out.
Yes. Because it's just basically a missed opportunity if you're thinking it's not going to sell. You don't, like I really like what you did in the beginning of the show and the beginning of your career too. And you were saying like, oh, you just like made a bunch of videos and see what sold and whatnot. And now you've really built like your business on that. So it's a testament, and it really shows your success in that. So amazing, and huge congratulations. I do also want to talk about sex toys as well, too, which is a fun topic. And I don't even know where you want to start. Maybe we can talk about because there's so many out there for specific purposes with specific material that works with specific lube. And maybe if you wanted to start off, let's start off with, what are you buying the sex toy for? Whose pleasure are we going to be satisfying or utilizing from that way?
So, like you said, there are a ton of sex toys out there. And I got into sex toys, I guess, honestly, because of this work. I've always been kind of a sexual person, and one of my best friends bought me my first vibrator shortly after I became a sex worker. And I remember using it in a video, and like I didn't even show my pussy. I just kind of like showed that I was using something there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is a cool way for me to incorporate this toy that I have into the content that I'm making.
Yes.
I wonder what else I can do. And, you know, it's kind of evolved for me where I've honestly spent a lot of money buying sex toys. If I were to show you the mess that is my bedroom, I could turn around or turn my camera around and show you my display cases, because I have display cases full of sex toys.
Show us Patreon subscribers.
Sorry about the mess. I've been sick for a week.
Oh, wow.
That case over there.
Amazing.
And then that case over there. Hopefully that's aimed correctly.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great. Store.
My ring light isn't blocking it out too bad.
You're perfect.
But yeah, I buy a lot of sex toys. I also work with a lot of sex toy companies as an influencer, as an affiliate marketer, as someone who helps them find more influencers and more affiliate marketers.
So cool.
And so, I don't know, I'm very passionate about sex toys.
Yeah. Well, I love it because, like you, I started using sex toys. I had some sex toys that I used with partners before, but it was more like they had it, we'd use it when we were together. And then I had one of my old sugar daddies buy me some sex toys too because I was curious about that, but that was very like personal for me. And then just recently starting to utilize toys on my stream as well, because I'm also working with another company with that as well. So it's like new to me, but also just a really exciting time, and also a great way for me to make more money on my streams, but also to create other content because like for a long time I was like, I don't use toys, but then now it's like, well, now I do, and here's a whole bunch of content that you can now buy. Fun.
Toys are very easy to integrate into sex work, whether you're full service, cam performer, content creator, it doesn't matter. Like, I remember a good friend of mine offered full service for a while, and she told me that she had a couple clients who all they wanted to do was buy her a sex toy and watch her use it in person.
Amazing.
And that was all they wanted. And so, like, it doesn't matter whether you're using it for solo play, partner play. There's literally every aspect of this industry can benefit from sex toys.
Yes. Well, like, according to you, Sydney, since you're like a master at sex toys, where would you start if you were like, okay, I'm in the market to buy a new sex toy? What questions should you be asking yourself? Is there a specific material that you would recommend over others? Say, like, if there's something like you would recommend to someone who's just introducing sex toys into their repertoire, or someone else that's like looking for more specific things. Let's kind of start there.
So for me, the most important thing when buying sex toys is that it's body safe.
Mm-hmm.
Not all sex toys are body safe. And some products that are body safe are better for external use than they are for internal use.
Yes.
And so things like TPE. TPE is something that is frequently used for strokers or masturbating sleeves, which are primarily toys for penis-having people.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use TPE for those as long as you're immediately cleaning it out and immediately letting it thoroughly dry.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone who has a vagina, I don't want to put TPE inside me because TPE is harder to clean. It is semi-porous, and that means that it can hold bacteria a little longer than is ideal.
Right.
So if I were to give anyone advice on buying their first sex toy, I would look at silicone sex toys, glass sex toys, or steel sex toys, because all of those are body safe materials that can be fully disinfected, they can be properly cleaned, and they're not going to carry bacteria use to use to use, even if you clean them really well. And unfortunately, when I say silicone, you still have to be careful because the FDA does not regulate sex toys at all.
Right.
And so when you're shopping on a site like Amazon and you're like, oh, I found this silicone dildo, maybe I should buy it, you might actually not be buying a silicone dildo. Because a lot of the sellers on Amazon are not truthful in their advertising.
Oh, that's so gross. That's so
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez. Oh my gosh.
And so I would recommend shopping from a trusted retailer that is not Amazon. I personally do a lot of shopping with Peep Show Toys. I am an affiliate for them. I partner with them. I work very closely with the founder of Peep Show Toys, but I also buy from them. Like, I spend money with them. And the reason I buy from them specifically is they only sell body safe products.
Good.
And there are a ton of retailers out there that are bigger, more trusted, whatever, but they sell products that are not necessarily body safe. And when you're someone who is new to buying sex toys and you don't really know what's body safe and what's not, it's easiest to go to a website where you know that everything that they sell is going to be safe for you to use. And so there's not a lot of companies out there that do just body safe toys. Even the most ethical of retailers, sometimes they're still selling TPE. They're selling jelly dildos, and jelly dildos are really bad for you. Please don't use jelly dildos. I know that we all love them because they look great on camera, but like,
oh no,
you can literally give your vagina a chemical burn. And
gosh,
speaking as someone who has had that happen, you do not want a chemical burn on your vagina.
Oh my goodness. Oh dear.
It sucks.
I can't even imagine. Ugh.
It's not good.
No.
And so I would definitely recommend shopping somewhere like Peep Show Toys that only is selling body safe products, because you don't want to risk injury. It's not worth it. And I love sex toys, but it's still not worth it.
What about like finding toys, because like specific toys for, say, solo play versus ones that are good for you and your partner or partners?
Well, the cool thing about sex toys is many of them can be used for both. If you're someone who has a vagina and you're looking for a vibrator that is just for you, a classic rabbit style vibrator is probably your best bet, because you don't want to use a rabbit style vibe with a partner generally. Some people do. I am honestly in awe because I'm like, wow, the overstimulation is too much for me, but you do you. I love that for you. But it just kind of depends on what you like. Do you like internal vibration?
Right.
Do you want only external vibration? Do you want something that suctions, which suction is actually just air pulses? It's not actually sucking on you.
FYI.
Fun little fact. I think it is a great idea to just test things out as best as you can. You know, if you're someone who's never bought a vibrator before and you're curious about getting one that would work for solo time or partnered time, wand style vibrators are great because you can use them whether you've got a penis, a vagina, both, neither, whatever. You can use them on your nipples. You can use them in so many different ways. You can use them on your neck when you've got neck pain, like me.
Love that.
Also, as basic as they are, bullet vibes. Excuse me. Bullet vibes are really good as well because you can use a bullet vibe for pretty much any external pleasure you want, whether you've got a penis or a vagina. You can run it on your external P spot. You can run it under the tip of your penis. You can rub it against your clit, your nipples, wherever you want. And so there are a lot of easy ways to find a toy that maybe you think are going to be for you and your partner, but you realize are also good for just you.
Yes, yes. I wanted to ask too, like if you're looking at interactive toys as well, like for myself, like I just started utilizing a toy that I'm kind of testing into some of my streams. Do you have any advice on that as well?
So definitely always look at reviews. With a lot of sex toys, there are reviews everywhere. I write reviews. There's also Fallophile reviews. Bed Bible is a really big one. They work with sex educators from all over the world to write reviews. Finding reviews is a huge thing, but also talking to sex workers who are using the things that you want is a huge help. And there are a lot more interactive toys now than ever before.
Yes.
Satisfyer now has an app control for the Satisfyer Pro, which is really cool because like that means you can kind of play with it with just about anybody if you want. And I think it's just about finding a toy that fits exactly what your purpose is. Does it connect to your campsite that you're working with? Because some of them do. Some of them are able to connect like that, and some of them aren't. Like Lovense, I believe, is able to connect with a lot of the camming platforms these days.
Do. Yes, they're on like all the platforms.
And I love that. And I want to say, is it Karoo that's also working on that?
Yep,
I think it is.
I'm working with Karoo right now, so shout out. But yeah, yes, they have some great toys on the market and ones that they're developing as well, which is really, really great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to wrap up this part of the conversation too, when you are in the market for, okay, I'm ready to potentially buy. Obviously, when you are buying sex toy, you can't exactly return it, right? So what would be the best way if you were, say, going to an in-person sex shop? What is the best way to kind of test that out?
So if you're going to an in-person sex toy shop, they want you to test the models that they have.
Yes.
And oftentimes, if they don't already have one out of the package, they will take one out of the package so that you can test it. And you should. You should stand in the sex toy store, power it on. Is this too powerful? Is this not powerful enough? What about this one right next to it? What features does it have that this one doesn't have that maybe are more appealing? And unfortunately, there is going to be a hit and miss. You'll probably buy something that you're like, I'm really excited about this. I think I'm going to love this. And then it's a letdown. And that sucks. But then at least you'll know, okay, next time I want something that is more powerful. I want something that is a different shape, that has a different feature, whatever it is. And so, start with something that's within your budget. Use your own budget as a guide, and then test it out. If you like it, you can get something a little bit more advanced.
Right.
If there are specific sensations that you really enjoy, such as thumping. Thumping internally is a big one. And some people don't even realize that you can get a vibrator that thumps rather than rotates or just thrusts or whatever. Yeah. And so just pay attention to what kind of vibrations something offers. Does it have patterns? Does it not have patterns? How powerful does it get? And kind of just try to listen to what sounds good to your body. If you look at a toy and you're like, this has way too much texture, I don't think I'm going to like this, then you might be onto something, because texture can be a lot for people. It's very overstimulating.
Yes. One more question here too that I just thought of that can kind of round out the entire conversation we had too. When it comes to plus size bodies, are there specific toys that work better with plus size bodies too? Because I know that with sex toys, it's not a one size fits all. And I've had toys in the past that have not fit me. And it has been a struggle trying to find something that fits myself comfortably. So let's wrap it up with that last question.
Yeah, there are definitely sex toys that are better for plus size people. I would say handles are a huge thing because handles give us a little extra reach that we might not otherwise have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very surprised that there aren't more toys with handles on the market because there are companies like Tantus who makes a toy that it's got like, I want to say a 5 or 6 inch handle on it that makes it so much easier for someone with any sort of accessibility, well, not any, most accessibility issues to be able to masturbate in a way that they probably couldn't before, all because of a handle. Beyond that, I would say length is another thing to consider when buying sex toys for someone plus size, because we got thick thighs. You got to be able to get past those thick thighs. We got big bellies. You got to be able to get past big bellies.
Right.
So is a big one. Handles are really helpful. Hands-free things are really nice too, because I'm a big fan of being able to have like a little external vibe that I can just kind of put down there and then have my hands free to read erotica on my phone or stimulate myself in another way as well.
Totally.
And so having hand-free options, I would say, is also really important for plus size folks.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Sydney, there are a couple questions that also came in from the audience too, since I'm just on this question kind of roll right now. Let's kind of roll into those questions. This person writes in, and this one comes from Twitter. Have they heard of a preferred prostate massager?
Yes. So there are a ton on the market. Obviously, I do not have a prostate, but I recently tested a toy that is meant for someone with a prostate. It's called the Evolved True Blue, I believe. Gosh, I hope I'm listing the right name. And it is a thrusting prostate plug. And so it's got an external vibration area, and then it kind of curves up, and then it thrusts into you a little bit, which is fun.
Yeah.
And so it both stimulates your internal P spot and your external P spot. And again, that one is Evolved Novelties, and I believe it's called the True Blue. I will message you and tell you if that is wrong.
I'll connect you to you. I think you were tagged in that post too on Twitter, so you can DM each other about that. And the last question here coming from Instagram, is safety a concern when using sex toys? Any advice for safe use? I know we kind of briefly went over that, but maybe just to wrap it up, we can just kind of go into that at a closing point.
Sex toys and safety should be a big consideration, because sex toys can melt if they are not actually pure silicone. Sex toys can have chemical reactions with lube if they are not pure silicone, or if the lube is maybe a lower quality lube or has extra additives in it that maybe degrade the silicone a little bit. So I would say the best thing for keeping safe when buying sex toys, buy body safe products and spend a little bit extra money buying a good quality lube, because lube is going to reduce friction, which will ultimately help you avoid tears, will help you avoid discomfort.
Yes.
And there are lubes that also are meant to enhance sexual enjoyment. Arousal or lubes that are meant for arousal, numbing lubes, warming lubes, cooling lubes, all of those are great for helping a sex toy be a little bit safer to use, as well as you keeping your body safe and healthy so that you're not ending up with any tears, scratches, anything like that. And also, yes, also keeping your sex toys clean is a big part of having your sex toys be safe to use.
Mm-hmm.
Always use a toy cleaner afterwards, an antibacterial and antiviral toy cleaner. I personally use System Joe's toy cleaner, and it's great. It cleans everything really thoroughly. If you want to go an even further step past that, there are sanitation bags that you can buy that you put your sex toy in, you turn it on, and it uses UV rays or UV light to properly sanitize your toy.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Really nice.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Love that. Oh gosh, Sydney, you have been just so knowledgeable, and I'm just so glad that you're able to come onto the show to share your expertise. This has been a lovely conversation. But before I let you go, where can we all find you?
Yeah, so the easiest place to find me is on my website, sydneyscreams.com. That's my blog site. It's got my toy reviews. It's got links to everywhere you can find me. It's got links to places that you can buy toys that I love. It's got everything just in one place. You can follow me on my Twitter at Sydney_screams. I'm also on Instagram at SydneyScreams. And I have a membership website where if you want to watch all of my hottest porn content, like my explicit hardcore fucking scenes, it's sydneyscreams.xxx. And so, yeah. Honestly, if you just Google me, I'm incredibly easy to find.
I love that. It was so much fun talking with you today, Sydney. For everyone else that's listening at home, it's new episodes every single Sunday. You can find me on all major podcast platforms. If you're on Spotify or Apple, feel free to rate 5 stars, write me a nice little review. I'm on Twitter as well, Stripped by Sia, as well as Instagram. And that's pretty much it. Feel free to check out my website, www.strippedbysia.com, if you want to pitch yourself to be on the show. And of course, patreon.com/strippedbysia if you want to support the show financially. And that is all she wrote today. So thank you so much, Sydney, for joining me on the show today. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellandarama, and photography by Ian Dabrin. Are you a sex worker looking to build a new website or a website redesign? Then you'll want to consider Fox Digital. They did a fantastic job designing my website, Stripped by Sia. If you want your website done, mention that you're a listener of the show at foxdigital.design for 20% off. Tell them I sent ya.